right, so we have looked at the players within the nervous system itself. We've looked at the glial cells. We know that there's nerves there. Let's move on and look at the classifications of the nerves themselves. There's 3 different functional classifications of neurons. You've got your sensory neurons. Those tell your brain or your central nervous system what's going on in the environment. They carry the impulses from our skin, from our proprioceptors, like in our muscles, to our brain to say, okay, I've just put my hand on a heart burner. What should I do? And then it's the interneurons that connect the sensory neuron to the motor neuron. And then the motor neuron carries the message from the brain to the hand to say, hey, Dodo, get your hand off the hot burner. Here's a picture of this. So we've got our dendrites, or our sensory organs, whatever it may be. We were going to go over that in a minute. Sending the afferent transmission in through the spinal cord here, or this central nervous system cross-section. You've got your interneuron here, which does the talking between the two, and then the motor neuron here that carries the efferent transmission back to the muscles or the glands, telling it what to do. So let's look at the different type of sensory organs that we have. First, quite simply, are free nerve endings. These are nerve endings that just go out into the skin to say, okay, what's going on here? So when you put your hand on that hot burner, it's the free nerve endings that are going to say, this hurts, ouch, temperature's increasing, or it's going to say, like the picture here, hey, I've just cut my finger while cutting the carrot. You've got your Meissner's corpuscles, which are soft touch receptors. These are the receptors that are going to tell you if there's a feather or a fly lightly landing on your skin. And then you've got your lamellar corpuscle, which is your deep pressure. That's going to tell you if somebody's stepping on your foot. That is the deep sensation to say, okay, there's a little bit more pressure here than that feather touching me. You've got your Golgi tendon organs and your muscle spindles, okay? These both deal with proprioception. Proprioception is knowing where your body is in space, whether or not your eyes are open. So let's first look at the Golgi tendon organ. When you go to the doctor and they take the mallet and they tap below your knee, that is activating the Golgi tendon organ in your patella. It's your patellar reflex. It tells you whether that tendon is being stretched or not. And then in the muscle spindles, this also tells you whether your muscle is being stretched. So it's telling you, I've extended my arm, and you know that even though your eyes are shut due to the muscle spindles and the Golgi tendon organs. Let's look at the motors real quick. The motor, or the efferent neurons, they carry the information from the central nervous system out to the muscles, the viscera, saying, hey, dum-dum, get your hand off of the hot burner. And then, as I addressed before, the interneurons, they are the go-between between the sensory and the motor neurons. They are only found in the central nervous system. That picture again. I've shown this picture to you twice. It's figure 7.6. You may want to be familiar with this. All right, let's look at structural classification of neurons. So we have the functional, which is what they do, but there's also different types of neurons based on how they look or how they're made. All right, you've got multipolar neurons, which have many extensions off of the cell body itself. You'll have bipolar neurons or unipolar neurons. Let's take a look at what we have. First, let's look at the multipolar. All of your motor neurons and your interneurons are multipolar. They are the most common nerve structure within the body. So you see one axon comes off of the cell body, but you've got lots of dendrites here sticking off of the cell body as well. That's multipolar. Bipolar neurons, which means there's only one axon and one dendrite off of that cell body. They are rare. They are your special sense organs, like smell or sight. Here's your cell body. You have one dendrite that comes off of one end and one axon that comes off of the other. And then you've got your unipolar. These are cells that have a short little interspace between the axon and the dendrites. They are sensory. They are found in the peripheral nervous system. And they conduct impulses both toward and away from the cell body. Let's look at this. So you've got your short single process here, and then you've got one long axon that lives between the dendrites and the terminal end of the neuron. So this has covered the structural form or the structural classification of the neurons as well as the functional classification of the neurons.